we can't, as Christians or anyone else, we can't escape culture altogether. Everything about us is culture. You know, we're speaking in English, that's culture. We're wearing certain kinds of clothes, that's culture. So we are surrounded by culture. Human beings create culture. We are encultured in every way. And every culture, of course, has their sinful entailments to culture. There's some things about culture that are sinful. When God calls us to be holy, he calls us to be separate, to be set apart. And that means that there are certain aspects of culture which are sinful, which we are to be set apart from. So that certainly has implications for how we think about movies, or how we think about television, or the way we dress, all of these things. I'm hesitant to say that we can set hard and fast rules and say that a certain rating of a movie is something that's off limits for Christians. Certainly there are movies that are G-rated that have ungodly elements when you look at the philosophical basis of a movie. And on the other hand, there may be movies that depict sinful things such as violence, but they may depict them in such a way that it reflects the true horror and the reality of our fallen world, and depicts it in such a way that it causes us to see something that's true about our world and the need for redemption. So I think every Christian has to wrestle with those questions. What kinds of cultural activities can I be involved in such a way that it doesn't compromise holiness? The old saying is we're to be in the world, but not of the world. So I think there's truth to that. We are to be, James says, we're to keep ourselves unspotted from the world. But that has first and foremost to do with our mentality, our attitudes, the way we think about the world itself. And then that will flesh itself out, probably in different individual Christians' lives, it'll flesh itself out in different ways. So there are some things that maybe I cannot do, because to do so would lead me into sin and lead me into patterns of unholiness, or lead me into temptation. It may not be a temptation for someone else. They may be able to stay much more objective in a certain environment than I could. And on the other hand, there may be some things that I could do that you couldn't do, or that someone else couldn't do. So every Christian has to wrestle with those things when we're talking about the pop culture things that Scripture doesn't directly address. But certainly we should acknowledge that to follow Christ has implications for every aspect of our life. There's nothing that is untouched. There's nothing that does not come under the lordship of Jesus Christ.